Hello and welcome. My name is Jasmine Keys, and you are listening to Why, How, Impact, the series that breaks down what it takes to be a leader and why on earth they do it. Today's trailblazer is Christina Stejskal, who became a 2024 trailblazer as the Global Vice President of Communications for Fender. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Jasmine.
Since the 2024 Trailblazing Women's list was released on International Women's Day this year, you've moved on from Fender and you're now bringing your vast experience to a variety of clients as a kind of fractional communications executive. What do you love about communications? What drives you to get out of bed in the morning?
Oh, that's such a good question. And for me, I feel really lucky right now. I'm able to help a variety of different clients as I'm looking for my next full-time passion. I think being a Gemini and a bit of a natural communicator, I love storytelling. I love being able to solve problems. I love being able to make connection within communities and to be able to do that via a brand and to see like communities feel connected. I always find like you kind of glom onto the brands that you feel the most connected to and the most authentic to, and being able to help support a brand on that mission, whether it's enhancing the relationship with their current demographic or trying to reach a new consumer, is really challenging and inspiring to me.
Yeah, absolutely. It's something that comes up in a lot of these interviews, which is aligning your mission with the mission of the brand and the company that you're working with.
Exactly.
So, how did you find that why? How did Christina Stejskal get to this point?
Oh, I always tell myself and, people that I'm working with, friends, whomever, like I don't ever want to stop learning. And I always want to continue to be challenged. I want to be able to push boundaries and create like a lasting value. And, as I've been really lucky enough to have some really incredible positions over the years, work around really incredible people, I find like each year I get more and more in tune with what I'm looking for professionally and how I can leave an impact. Being a leader is a really big part of what drives me. Personally, I think there's a lot with work life, professional, personal balance. So being able to find the things that fuel your soul, I think are really important for me. That's has a lot to do with health, wellness, fitness. I love moving my body. I love to stay active. You always find me, strength training, surfing, rock climbing. I always love to like try something new and push boundaries. I always say I'm like, if it scares me a little bit, then it's only a matter of time till I'm gonna do it. Because with fear comes growth. So and I hope that those feelings and that desire never changes, but just evolves.
With fear comes growth. That is Christina Stejskal. I love that.
It is.
And yeah, I can see that for you. It makes a lot of sense from the conversations we've had. It's pretty incredible the brands that you've worked for so far and what you're doing at the moment as well. Has this this kind of passion influence the roles that you decide to take on? How has it given you direction?
Oh, that's a great question. I come obviously from a communications background, primarily agency. Fender was actually my first in-house role, which I loved that transition. I love being able to, you maybe have your hand in a lot of things, but ultimately the end goal is always going to be the same. So I think, like I mentioned before, like that's a little bit of the evolution there. And I would love to next align with a brand that aligns a little bit with my personal passions. But, honestly, it's more the attributes of a company. Is it, a startup and we're helping build and grow? I love to come in and create efficiencies and, take brands to the next level. Fender was a really amazing opportunity. At the time when I entered, it was a 70-year-old brand. It was really a leadership team that was going to help bring this heritage to the next level and kind of widen the scope to inspire the next generation of players, and to be able to be a part of the team that brought a $400 million brand to a $1 billion brand was a huge honor. You know, I also find a lot that who are you going to be working with? Who are my leaders going to be? Am I going to be able to learn from them? Am I going to be able to, you know, work within a different industry or work with people that have a different style of how they like to lead or run things? So it's a lot of the attributes too that are, yes, I'm sure the brand and all that is really cool too, but like those are the things I think for me that really start to fuel my interest in an opportunity.
Yeah, I call that the quality of daily interactions. And I
Yeah.
think about that as well. But it's not just, and I'm sure you think about it like this too, it's not just like who you're working with, not who your boss is, not who your teams are, but it's who are the partners, who are the other people, the other stakeholders inside and outside of the organization that you have to communicate with, work with on a daily basis.
Absolutely. We're doing this every day. A lot of people putting their heart and soul into what they're doing. So you want to be able to, you know, feel fulfilled.
Mm. All right, then. You find an organization, Christina, where you align with that brand, you get that fear and that excitement and that energy from them. You get to communicate like that Gemini that you are. How do you lead then? What is your leadership style? What works?
God, a couple of things I would say. For me, definitely leading by example. You've got to practice what you're preaching. Transparency. You know, how can you make that direct impact for the people that you're leading, whether that's directly, indirectly, you want to be consistent in what you're putting out there. And in transparency, I mean, for me, I'm never like, okay, here's your yearly review and here's where you can improve. No, we're giving live feedback. We're improving as we go along. I always find that it's my job or my role to see the strength in my team members and help them reach their full potential before they even know about it. You know, ID opportunities for growth. I think in your conversation with Lulu's CEO, I believe she said something along the lines of, you know, they were like, we're going to make you the next CEO, or, you know, something like that. And she's like, wait, what? Like, but they saw that in her, you know, and I'm a big believer in that. And, you know, it's really important. There's a big sense of fulfillment for me that has become a bit of my guiding purpose, and it's influenced a lot of the roles that I've taken where I'm in a position where I can mentor and inspire other people.
Yeah, and I love that you've mentioned, Crystal, some of the other trailblazers that we've had this year are absolutely incredible. Hazel last week said some very similar things. It's brilliant that we're able to build this community here because I think the insights coming out of this are so, so important.
I like what you just said too, Jasmine, because I think of a lot of, for the people that are listening, A, I think these conversations are amazing, but B, there's a lot of similar things that everyone's saying. It's just taking those kind of foundations and applying them to your style or applying them to the, you know, environment that you're in. But there shouldn't be too many surprises. A lot of the foundational elements are so the same. It's just then, you know, you want to put your own spin on it. And also you need to adapt to the people that are working with you because everyone is different. Also, you can't just copy and paste because people absorb information differently. People, you know, are emotionally different. So I think it's really important to know your team and to show that level of empathy in that safe space.
Yeah, and I love that you use the words authenticity and adaptability because I think that's a key theme that we're pulling out of this. And adaptability in the way that every individual that you lead is going to be different. And therefore, your style can be authentic, but it does have to adapt to what that individual needs.
And a lot of things I've experienced over the years too, I'm like, oh, I want to do that differently when it's my turn. And that feeling still happens. And I feel really lucky that I can have the ability to change and, you know, do things in the way that hopefully, you know, I would like. And I'm a big time. I'm like, hey, give me feedback. Maybe not everyone's comfortable doing that, but I'm like, are you feeling good? Can we change this? You know, I think it's really important to be clear and direct. You want to respect people's time and their own process because, like we're both saying, everyone is different, and you have to adapt. You know, these are real people and real relationships.
So I'm sure that didn't come immediately, that knowing and that confidence to say, hey, I'm not perfect. How do you want me to lead? How does this work for you? Talk to me about how you've refined your leadership style throughout the years.
Oh my gosh, all the time. I think back to when I was like in my 20s and I had my first direct report. I think as you evolve, mature, grow up, the more you're working on yourself, the more you're kind of being able to see things a little bit more clear. I think when I was younger, I used to think a little bit louder was better, maybe. I think falling down and mistakes are really important. At some point in my career, I had a 360, which, had some really positives and had some little harsh moments. I'm like, all right, we're going to sit here. I'm going to feel sorry for myself for about a minute. And then I'm going to take all this. You know, I can't go in my time machine and change it. All I can change is the present and what's moving forward. And it's okay to feel like a little upset or embarrassed or whatever when like moments like that happen, but like now, or how are you going to make a difference and how are you going to improve, so and I feel really lucky as well because over the years I've had a lot of people, mentors, colleagues, old bosses that I can connect to that have had my back. If I need advice, I'm always preach to everyone. It's really important to continue to network. I keep in touch with every single intern that's ever worked for me. I'm always want to be as a resource. I'm like, this is really important. Don't ever lose it. You never know when you'll want advice or you want a referral or whatever it may be. So I think having safe sounding boards can go a really long way for people to remember to value those relationships.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I feel so lucky in my role to be able to meet people like you, Christina, and the other trailblazers. It's honestly such an honor, and yeah, I'm really grateful. But like,
And you never know. Jasmine and I bonded last week on Zoom and we're like, hey, let's become WhatsApp friends and stay in touch. Like you really never know. So always keep yourself open. Always.
absolutely. And speaking of different roles that you can take on and how you've evolved your style, what do you think in your field right now? Like, what's the full scope of skills required to be a communications leader? How does finance, industry knowledge, operations come into your scope as a leader?
Oh my God, I'm laughing because sometimes I feel like it's strategist, communications, legal, operations, therapist. I do find, but I always say I feel really lucky that people, if they don't know where to go, they're like, I'll just ask the comms team because they'll either know, they'll point us in the right direction. But, I think it really is a balance of everything from, like you said, communication, strategy, marketing, leadership. The core of what we do is storytelling. And I always say, I want to be connected to everyone because you never know where the next opportunity lies, or maybe the creative team, for example, is working on a really great initiative. I'm like, hey, we have a story here. We can storytell on this. We can maximize this. We can use this nugget to, drive the brand forward. So I'd always rather have my hand in a little bit of everything. And if it doesn't pertain to me, I'm like, great, delete, move on. But it's our role to really find where those opportunities are and where we can, streamline messaging. But I do find communications professionals, they wear a lot of hats. A lot of hats.
And you definitely fall into that kind of generalist leader category,
Yeah.
but within that, how do you balance the soft and hard skills?
I've always been pretty bold and I've never been shy in what I want to say and believe in. You have to adapt to that in a business atmosphere for sure. If I feel strongly about something, I'm not just going to, pound my fist on the table and say this. I'm like, I believe this. Here's my reasoning. Here's my backup. I always train everyone that works for me. I'm like, come solution forward, have backups to what you're saying. You want to show validity and into what your opinion is. I like to take a lot of bold action to what I'm bringing to the table and hopefully to inspire and motivate a team. For me, there's a lot of balance in that, maintaining a strong sense of integrity. We do have a business to run at the end of the day, but I also want to focus on what's doing right for the brand, for the team. Sometimes that's not always the easy road. Sometimes that is having to, make those harder decisions. I rarely take no for an answer, but like I said, always solution oriented. Always want to come with a positive as well. Um, and then, like we talked about before, strongly opinionated, but very empathetic and empowering. I always want to help uplift everybody that's around me as well. And I think one of the ways that I've found to do that over the years too is, we're always having meetings and one-on-ones and what's the team doing? What's everyone doing? But I'm like, hey, here's what I'm doing. Here's what I'm working on. Yes, visibility to maybe the group projects or launches or strategies, but I'm like, hey, I'm working on X for the CEO. I'm doing these, projects, or hey, I'm working on this. I can't tell you too much right now. When the time comes, I will. I've had numerous projects that had to be more, high level and confidential. And then when they were more, ready or ready to roll it out, I always would go through it with my team. I'm like, this is what we did. This is why I came to this road or this strategy, because I think there's a lot of power in making that a two-way street.
Yeah, that transparency is
Mhm.
absolutely crucial, especially when you have a team that you're still building rapport with, that you're still getting to know, and you're still showing them the type of leader that you are. As you build that trust with a new team, like, it's absolutely crucial.
Definitely.
All right, I want to talk now about your legacy. I want to talk about the future, and I want to talk about Christina's impact. So, before we go into the longer term piece, what are you most proud of right now in your career? What have you achieved so far that brings joy and excitement?
Oh, wow. That's such a great question. A couple of things. Um, I'd say my own growth, my own looking back, evolution as a leader. Obviously, we're talking about this. I love mentoring, I love leadership. So just the numerous people that hopefully I've had, impacts on. I've gotten a lot of like thank you notes over the years. I have every single one saved. They all mean so much to me. Fender was a pivotal time in my career. I loved being able to come in on such a important brand and being able to, for 8 years, build and take that to the next level globally. We had a lot of incredible launches, from, the first Black female signature launch with the artist Her, to telling factory family stories. And, that was really important. Oh gosh, so many. But I'd say, yeah, like that's where we're at right now. But, um, I'm just, and also, taking a little Niecy Nash moment. I'm proud of me. I'm proud of her. So I hope everybody remembers to give themselves enough credit, because that's definitely something that I had to um, remind myself of a lot, and get to this place to say that that's okay to be proud of yourself.
It is important to recognize that your leadership has developed, you have grown as a leader. So give yourself a pat on the back. That's really
Yeah,
important.
it's not always easy to remember and allow yourself to do that. I'm always wanting to worry or help other people, and it's like, hey, take a moment to, so even these moments from like the industry they're just really cool, because it's that recognition that you kind of like forget to give yourself sometimes.
Yeah, 100%. So what does that end legacy look like, Christina? What is the impact that you want to be able to look to when you finish your career?
For me, I really want to be able to just continue making a difference in my own way. I really want to continue to be a resource for people. Through like moments like these, or maybe someone happens to watch this video and know that, like, hey, you can reach out to me. I actually will respond to you. My team, my previous team members, like, I always like to think about things that I was seeking throughout my college years, my early career, my continued, and I always want to be able to like continue to make a difference and be that resource to help people. I always would say, anybody that worked for me, I'm like, again, I want to lift you up. I want to help you excel. I want to help you get those skills to the next level. And if that's at a promotion here, or you're going to take that and go somewhere else, I support you, because that ultimately is the end goal. I'm not one of those people where I'm like, oh, you're leaving. No, that's amazing. You got a new opportunity. Congratulations. So like this is your life. And we only have one shot at this. So let's just help continue to lift people up. And, within this industry, as a business industry as a whole, like being a woman and being able to do that, I think we have a big responsibility. So, like I said, I don't mind being loud and proud and outspoken. So if I can be that person that's going to be the voice for somebody else and maybe he's not quite there yet, I feel like that's an honor and a privilege.
That is an incredible legacy. I want to continue to push this out and give and offer you as a resource to the listeners and the watchers of Why How Impact. I'm genuinely in awe of your accomplishments, and it's incredible to have your time here today. And to our listeners, thank you for tuning in. Why How Impact is a weekly conversation with our 2024 Trailblazing Women. So make sure you subscribe and tune in next week as we continue to explore what it takes to be a leader and the powerful why behind it all. Until then, keep striving to find what motivates you and be kind while you do it. I'm Jasmine Keys, and this is Why How Impact. I'll see you next week.